Have you ever had anything stolen from you? Maybe your favorite sweatshirt or your lunch money or your place in line? If you've ever had anything taken from you, you know the feeling. And the more valuable the item is, the more it hurts when it's taken from you, right?
I bet you didn't know this, but there is someone who is taking something valuable from you on a regular basis. Seriously. And that something is your happiness. Someone is trying day in and day out to rob you of your peace and joy and the amazing future that God has planned for you. So who's trying to steal your happiness? It's you.
That's right, you. You are trying to steal your own happiness away from yourself on a regular basis. When we're unhappy, we often try to find someone to blame. Maybe our parents, our siblings, or that person who was mean to us. But you and I have done more to undermine our own happiness than anyone else ever has. Sometimes, we're our own worst enemies.
Most of us don't even realize that we're stealing our own happiness. But this is how we do it. We confuse the relationship between happiness now and happiness later. And when we decide to value happiness now over happiness later, that's when we rob ourselves of true happiness.
Let me break this down for you. There are some things that we know will make us happy now, but they won't make us happy later. And there are other things that might make us happy now, or maybe not, but they'll definitely make us happy later. I've got some now and laters here to help us illustrate this idea, but I need your help. What about eating a gigantic bowl full of candy? Is that going to make you happy now or later?
How about staying up late to play video games? Happy now or happy later?
What about practicing for your recital, even though you really don't want to?
How about pushing through a super hard workout when all you want to do is give up and take a nap? So you get it. There are some kinds of happy that make us feel happy now, but won't make us feel very good in the long run. And there are other kinds of happy that might be a little challenging in the short term, but will make us much happier in the long term.
I'm not saying happy now is a bad thing. God designed us to experience both kinds of happiness, happy now and happy later. But here's where we sometimes get off track. God designed both happy now and happy later to work in a certain way.
In those examples we just talked about, maybe you realize that when we start with happy now, we don't always get happy later. When you eat a ton of candy now, you'll probably feel sick later. If you stay up late playing video games now, you'll probably fail your math test later. But what happens if we flip this arrow around? What if God designed things so that when we choose happiness later, it can actually lead to happiness right now? What if, when we made long-term happiness our goal, we got happiness right now too? Here's the good news. I think that's true. I think that when we prioritize happiness later over happy now, we actually get both. But when we reverse the order, we ultimately rob ourselves and end up with neither.
It looks like this. When we're feeling upset or unhappy, we usually want to do something that will make us feel better right this second. I'm unhappy, so I'm going shopping. I'm going to eat something. I'm going to watch something I know I shouldn't. I'm going to make myself feel better by making someone else feel worse. I'm going to fill in the blank. When we're unhappy, we want to do something that makes us feel better immediately, even if that thing isn't a good decision. That's how we steal our own happiness. When we choose happy now, regardless of the consequences later, we steal our own chance at real happiness, both now and later.
Actually, Jesus talked about this very thing. He knew we would have a tendency to choose happy now instead of happy later and rob ourselves of real happiness. In the book of John, here's how he talks about it. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. In this passage, Jesus says there is a thief who is coming to steal from you. In other words, there are things or people or powers at work that are trying to steal your happiness and your future from you. And sometimes, like we've already said, we steal from ourselves, and we are our own worst enemies.
But Jesus says that He has come to give us life. He wants to give you a full life, an extraordinary life that's beyond normal or average. He wants you to experience a life that makes people look and say, "Wow, why are you so happy? How do you have so much joy and hope?" Jesus is saying if you follow Him and live life the way He wants you to live it, then that's the kind of life you're gonna have. Happy later and happy now.
But is following Jesus going to make my life boring? Am I going to miss out on a ton of stuff? Those are great and fair questions. I think Jesus knew we would ask these questions because here's what he says next. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep.
Jesus essentially tells us, don't worry, I'm the good shepherd and want to keep my sheep safe. If you wonder if I care about you or if I have your best interest at heart, here's my answer. I'm willing to die for you.
I know this much. If someone is willing to die for you, they're definitely on your side. Jesus is on your side. He wants what's best for your life, both now and later. He wants you to trust that He has your best interest at heart, and He wants you to pursue Him and His way of life instead of just chasing quick fixes to your happiness, because life with Him will get you the real happiness, both now and later.
Every happy person you know has figured this out. Think back to the last time you were unhappy. What did you do to try to make yourself feel better? You watched something or bought something or said something you shouldn't have? Did it work? Did you feel completely happy? My guess is that it worked for about 2 seconds. You got a small bump of pleasure, but no lasting happiness. In the long term, you may have been even unhappier than before.
But Jesus says you don't have to live this way. He's offering you a full life, the kind of life that helps you experience real happiness both now and later. But to access that kind of life, we have to choose Him and His ways over our quick fixes.
Maybe it's hard to believe this sometimes, but I want you to let it sink in. Because it's true. Following Jesus will make your life better. And following Jesus will make you better at life. He wants you to experience a life of fullness and joy and happiness. And He knows how you can get it. It's by following Him, the Good Shepherd, who you can trust. Following Jesus may not be the quick fix for happiness that you're used to, but trusting Him will help you discover real happiness, both in the long term and the short term. So, if you want to be happy, here's the secret. Think about both now and later.
This is a big deal. Your happiness is at stake. I know you want to be happy, so stop letting your happiness get stolen. Instead of settling for happy now, choose to embrace the big, abundant, amazing, miraculous, full, joyful life that God has for you. Because He has so much more in store for you than just quick fixes for happiness that won't really last. He wants to show you what real happiness looks like, both now and later.